Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and it's absolute chaos in the competitive Call of Duty community here once again. I thought yesterday was crazy with the whole Crimsix versus Formal stuff. Los Angeles Thieves though have taken it to another level. So much to dive in today with the whole Huke stuff. Then Los Angeles Thieves come out and make this crazy roster change. Just so much to talk about, I'm sure, in the coming days here. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Certainly do not want to not press the big red button with all the chaos right now in the competitive Call of Duty scene. Let's dive right in there. So I noticed this from Drazah yesterday. It's all about the bounce back. I was kind of wondering whether Thieves would consider making another change, because clearly their lineup going into this stage, at least that they've had at the present time until the change they make today, was of course Kenny on the team, Venom, Drazah, and TJHaLy. Now that team was not really performing. That team wasn't performing the level they were at before they brought Huke in and then subbed him out again. And I was thinking, okay, you know, we're going back to LAN, going towards the World Championship end of the season. Is that team going to be a caliber squad that can actually win the whole thing? Probably not. So I was thinking, given the amount of changes they've already made so far this season, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me to see something happen along those lines. And well, we'll talk about that here in just a couple of seconds. This, first of all, from Huke. I kind of wanted to give the high level stuff on this before we maybe talk about it in more detail tomorrow. The big discussion has been around this whole Adderall stuff that we will dive into here in just a second. But as Huke says, on the 25th of May, when this absolute chaos that went on back then, when he got benched off Thieves, just a couple of weeks really after being benched from Empire and then signed to Thieves, he says right here, I'll be making a YouTube video soon explaining some things because it is getting out of hand. Now, really, it's been a couple of weeks, right, and we hadn't seen any videos, so I was thinking, is this ever actually going to happen? Indeed, it does happen, and this is the video that he comes out with. It's a very lengthy one. We'll dive into it in more detail tomorrow, but as I say, I wanted to kind of give the big headline from this, and that is with regard to this whole Adderall situation. As Deserto tweet out right here, I won champs and I didn't really feel good, saying that really one of the issues has been the fact that he hasn't been quite the same this season as maybe he was last season, is because, well, some issues been getting off Adderall, I suppose. Now, Adderall is, of course, a drug. It's considered to be relatively performance enhancing and increases your concentration. I'm not 100% sure what the effects are. I know it's medication for ADHD, but pros and really any esport have been using this for years. And it certainly has some significantly debilitating side effects to it, in addition to, you know, some of the problems that it does cause. Now, I thought this was pretty incredible, to be honest, the fact that Huke comes out right here and says, look, last year on the Dallas Empire team that won the World Championship, I was using Adderall at the time. A reigning world champion admitting to something like this is honestly incredible stuff. I think we'll have to talk about some of the greater reaction to it tomorrow, and maybe what happens here going forward right from the CDL side, because this has clearly been a problem for years. We've been talking about it for years here really in the competitive Call of Duty scene. I've made a couple of videos about it in the past. It's not something which is particularly often brought up. I think it's something that should be talked about more, and certainly something which I don't think young players should feel like they have to use. And I think Huke right here is talking about the fact that he felt like he was kind of forced to use it because other players were using it, and it felt like if he wasn't using it, he was at a disadvantage. And that's just not a situation we want to find ourselves in really as a competitive Call of Duty community. So incredible stuff. I'll play the video on screen for you guys right here with what Huke has to say on the matter, and well, as I say, we'll probably dive into it in more detail tomorrow.
It's not really a secret, you know, but basically I won champs and I didn't really feel good on the inside. Of course, I was very grateful for winning. It showed that we worked hard and, you know, we got the win. I felt good about that, but you know, those couple days afterwards I didn't feel good, and it was mainly because of one thing. I, at the time, was taking Adderall. I first took Adderall when I was like 18, 19, and yeah, I was like on and off for a bit, and you know, I realized basically that night what it was doing to me. This is very uncomfortable for me to talk about, but yeah, basically it wasn't doing anything good for me. And I realized that night because I won that event with Adderall, and just that feeling afterwards was like, you know, it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great of a feeling. And then, you know, I was sitting there comparing it to when I first won, when I was 16 years old, when I was completely sober, and I still say it every single time. The time I won when I was 16 years old, it was a feeling that you can't even put in words. It was just like so much joy. So much joy, and you know, I was really proud of myself. I remember laying there that whole night, just sitting there, like when I was 16, just like, wow, like, you know, that was a big moment for me.
Now, one of the really big opponents, I suppose, to the whole, well, players using Adderall for several years has been SlasheR AL, that being Austin Liddicoat, of course, as Octane says, enjoying the timeline, and well, SlasheR says in reply, I've been calling for something to be done since 2013 with regard to the Addy situation. All natural, brother. Wish I could have played against some of these people sober. Pretty crazy statements. They probably would have been visually shaking on stage, to be honest. Glad Kyler, that being Huke, of course, spoke on this issue. So I wonder what will happen here going forwards. Certainly, well, a lot to discuss in future days. But really, when you see SlasheR talking on the timeline like this, it seems relatively likely that maybe something's going on with their team. We've seen SlasheR be more active in the previous couple of weeks, maybe feeling like an opportunity, maybe brewing for him back in the starting team, and that is just what the Los Angeles Thieves go on to confirm. Our starting roster as we move into the Stage 4 Major, and I imagine the rest of Stage 4 as well, given they've still got one more week to play at their own home series, is going to be Kenny, Huke, SlasheR, and TJHaLy. This is their starting team for the season, minus Temp, of course. Now Huke is into their team. Incredible stuff. This is, well, honestly, this is super exciting to me. There's been so much talk right from SlasheR, especially right early in the season. The fact that, okay, if LAN was ever to come back, he feels like he would never have been in the spot he was in if this season was on LAN. This is his chance to prove it, right? And also, if I'm JCap, if I'm really the management of this team, I'm thinking, look, my team might have been not too great to this season, right? There's no doubt about it. Thieves were not great this season by any stretch of the imagination. They were looking for much better. But if I want to build a team that at the very least has an outside chance of winning champs, and maybe significantly more than that, starting with SlasheR and then bringing Huke onto your team, and you've got Kenny and TJ, that is, well, certainly a great starting piece for this team. And these guys have a massive amount to prove, right? Like, Huke's come out of the team, now he's back in there. SlasheR's in a similar boat, he has so much to prove, and I guess Kenny will be moving kind of to the flex role, I suppose, with Huke and TJ on the SMGs. Very exciting from my perspective. Really looking forward to seeing how this team could play. It's a massive overhaul, right, for the Thieves guys. I'm not surprised, right? They've made so many drastic changes this season. The fact that they've made another one, and this is a big one, no doubt about it. This is, well, before their final matches of the Stage 4 regular season, then into the Major on LAN, then I guess they're not just going to try and change again, right, going into the final Stage 5, and then into the World Championship. So, absolutely incredible, seeing some significant reaction to this one, and for good reason. Firstly, of course, from SlasheR, right, back in April, he's saying, look, perfect timing for LAN to come back, just can't make it, right? Of course, he finds himself on the bench at the time, looking for his opportunity back into a starting team somewhere. He talked about, I'm pretty sure we discussed it on the channel, I think Pac-Man was saying the fact that, like, he was pretty willing to take a pay cut to get off this Thieves team, go somewhere else, but I'm sure he was hoping still that he could be the franchise player for this squad. And also, it does raise some very interesting questions, right? Because we were talking the fact that, okay, maybe in the off-season, Octane considers where is his options going, SlasheR being on the bench over there, maybe he's looking at other options, could have meant that Octane could have been a good fit into the Thieves squad next season. Potentially not the case anymore, right? Because 2 ARs probably isn't going to work. I imagine Kenny's going to be on that kind of flex, but if anything, really, Kenny's playstyle with the main AR that he was technically using was very quick anyway. Probably even fits better into that kind of flex role than it does as the main AR. You can almost categorize him as playing the flex in the final team, compared to, you know, Drazah was often doing a lot of the main AR roles, playing somewhat slower than Kenny at times. So if anything, SlasheR slots into Drazah's role, and in that kind of situation, Kenny can play at a relatively similar pace, and now Huke's back into the team. So much to prove for these guys. I think it's incredibly exciting stuff, especially with all the talk about LAN, right? And now the timing is actually finally arriving. As SlasheR says right here, he's officially back in business, revitalized. You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you back to me? Because, well, Thanos SlasheR's kind of been a thing for a few years at this point. JCap says the following: it's been a roller coaster of a year, but hoping we can turn Stage 4 around and make something happen with this new lineup for the final few tournaments of the season. Pretty interesting, right? Because just a few days ago, there was the discussion about Venom, right? The fact that, okay, yeah, Venom, if you're roasting Venom, you haven't actually been watching the team play at all and are basing your opinion solely off gamer tags. But just a couple of weeks later, Venom is officially now onto the bench of the Los Angeles Thieves. So definitely a few different angles you can take on this. I understand it perfectly well, right? If you are going to make a change with this team, especially with LAN on the horizon, you want to probably make a massive overhaul. And I can understand the fact that, yes, they brought in Huke for a little while. They felt that bringing Huke back into the team or keeping it as it wasn't really going to work, maybe because they don't necessarily have some previous chemistry with Huke. SlasheR's played with Huke for a number of years, has well, not exactly great success, but at least has some existing chemistry with Huke from back in the World War II days on Envy, back in Advanced Warfare actually, on I think it was maybe a Denial team that they were on right towards the end of that title. So definitely they have some existing chemistry, and if you are going to completely overhaul the roster, and maybe they felt like, okay, Huke on the team, we probably need to significantly overhaul how we play our team in terms of how we actually approach the game, and doing SlasheR, we're bringing the SlasheR back in, is certainly going to do that. So if you are bringing SlasheR back in, you might as well bring Huke in as well, and say, okay, SlasheR, you're going to be the leader of this team now, you're going to call the shots, and you're going to direct the troops in a sense, and well, get Huke where you want him to go, someone who certainly respects you as a leader, and has had decent success with you in the past at the very least, and And then, of course, TJ back with SlasheR as well, like on Rise Nation back in the day. So, well, you know, pretty much as we saw at the start of the season with Kenny there as well. So I was kind of thinking that honestly the Kenny SlasheR duo ship was going to be coming to an end. But Thieves do what they want, baby. Jacob can't make up his mind, I suppose. But yeah, I think people were joking about him throwing darts on the dartboards and seeing where it lands. Maybe this will be the final change of the season. I'd certainly like to see this team do well, because the more championship contenders from my perspective, the better for us as fans. This is what Venom says. Wish the boys nothing but the best. Pretty unfortunate season, and I know everyone just wants to win. Doesn't make it sting any less though, right? So I wonder what is exactly next for Venom. I think he did okay on this team, but clearly wasn't quite up to the scratch, got up to the standard that they needed from their SMG liners. Nadeshot says then, I know he shifted this roster around quite a bit this year. That is the understatement of the century. With a variety of talented COD players, but with LAN events on the horizon, we decided to field a lineup with a star-studded veteran talent with proven results. Looking forward to the rest of the season, and well, as COD League say right here just a couple of days ago, back on LAN for Major 4. Mission Critical, get hyped. Not too far around the corner now, we will see this event on LAN. And well, speaking of which, they have a few more matches to play. Will Thieves be able to get into the winners bracket? That is a big question. You can see right here they play the Rokkr on Friday, then on Sunday the final match they play up against OpTic Chicago. That's going to be an absolute banger at this rate. I'm really looking forward to that, because Formal versus SlasheR, in addition to Formal versus Crim, another main assault rifle battle for the ages, no doubt about it. But Thieves certainly have a tough time. Let's look at their group right now real quick. Because they lost to Paris Legion a few days ago, they are 1-2. Pretty much they need to beat both Rokkr and Chicago. I think maybe they can find a world in which they just beat Rokkr and then the tiebreakers go in their favour. That is actually pretty possible, but if Rokkr win their series, whoever they're playing in the lower half of things, they should be okay. I'm sure we'll touch on this in more detail tomorrow, but very interested to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Madness on the timeline these last few hours, honestly. Couldn't believe the stuff. I had to run home and get a video recorded ready for you guys early in the evening. And tweeting your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoy this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.